Celebrate Houston's Asian and Asian American communities at Asia Society Texas's free night market. Eat, shop, and explore at the festival's outdoor market of 70 plus local vendors and enjoy live music, a beer garden, carnival games, and dance performances for all ages. I can't wait for this one night only night market on Friday, November 1st at Asia Society Texas in the Museum District. Learn more at asiasociety.org/Texas. Today on CityCast Houston, we're a week away from the election, and with early voting still going on, there's a lot happening as candidates make their final push to earn your vote. Plus, what does Houston have in common with Sanya, China, Trieste, Italy, and Tromsø, Norway? And we give you some of our biggest fears of living in H-Town to get you in the mood for spooky season. Cron.com's trending news reporter Faith Bugenhagen joins me to talk about the stories to know to start the week. It's Tuesday, October 29th. I'm Raheel Ramzanali, and here's what Houston's talking about. Hey, Faith, what's up? How are you?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm doing all right. Just gearing up for a busy week, as is everybody, it seems like. But before we jump into that, our listeners heard this in the intro, but you have a new position at Cron.com. Congratulations. Tell me about it.
Yeah, thank you so much. I appreciate you saying that. As y'all heard, I'm a trending news reporter with Cron.com, and I'm going to be focusing on government and politics. And it's just been phenomenal. I'm about 2 weeks in, and I just have the best team, the best editors. Shout out to all of them. And it's just been so much fun. Definitely a baptism by fire with elections, but so much fun.
That is awesome. Congratulations. And let's talk about politics right now, because as I mentioned, this is going to be a busy week for a lot of people. It's the final week of early voting here in Houston and across Texas as well before we gear up for Election Day next Tuesday. So let's talk about all things election. Faith, what has caught your eye?
Yeah, so I was actually at Vice President and Democratic nominee Kamala Harris's campaign rally, which was like the biggest news of this past weekend. It occurred on last Friday, and a U.S. Representative, Colin Allred, was also there at the event, which was centered around reproductive rights, which is a huge issue for both Harris's and Allred's campaign.
How was the rally atmosphere? Because it looked like a lot of fun and it was cool to see everyone out there. But was there anything that caught your eye in terms of this from the rally will impact voters who are still on the fence or moderates who aren't sure yet?
Yeah, so the energy was electric, I feel like is the best way to describe it. I believe there was 20 to 30,000 people there. I don't know the exact metric. I think they're still trying to figure that out, but definitely a packed stadium. And I think to answer your question, I kind of touched on it earlier with what the rally was centered around, which was reproductive rights. And that's been a huge message for both of these candidates. And what they're doing with that is they're strategizing and they're appealing to moderate voters as well as actually Republican women that are leaning towards voting for Harris or voting for Allred because of the messaging around abortion and healthcare, and specifically reproductive healthcare that we've been seeing now that Texas does have extremely restrictive reproductive health laws.
Faith, there was so much excitement about this rally. And of course, one of the big reasons was that Beyonce was going to be there. And there were reports suggesting that Beyonce was not only going to endorse VP Harris, but also perform for the crowd, for Houston. And that did not happen. For those of you who didn't follow the rally, were people upset about that?
Yeah, I definitely think that they were. What I will caveat with is Willie Nelson was there and he performed, and
Yes.
nobody attacked me, but I was more excited for that. I'm not going to lie. But people were upset. I think that you could definitely tell who was there for Harris and All Red and who was there for Beyonce, because there were definitely some people that were trying to just cash in on a free Beyonce
Yes.
concert.
I want a free Beyonce concert. That would be the only reason I'm going, is because I don't care about the speeches. Again, I said this last week. You can watch the speeches online. You know what every candidate stands for at this point in the game, right? I'm trying to catch a free Beyonce show because that last tour was expensive. All right. I want to see Queen Bee perform at least one song. Come on.
Yeah, I definitely think that people were expecting her to perform, especially when she came out with Kelly Rowland. And what was super interesting, if you were at the rally, you saw the stage being set up. So I was like, okay, she's coming out. She did not come out. Well, she came out, just not to sing. But they were definitely trying to allude to the fact that she was about to come out. Everybody was kind of, talking about her performing Freedom, and that did not happen.
Yeah, one of my favorite moments from the rally was obviously Beyonce coming out, right? And that was a huge moment. But it was Colin Allred, because I think that race is obviously more up for grabs than what's going to happen with the presidential race, right? When it comes to Texas, at least, or based on just early polling. You never know. You never know what could happen. But it seems like that race is going to be closer. And every time he speaks, I just get a feeling like people like him more. He's not BSing people as much as another politician would. I will just put this as a disclaimer. This is my personal opinion. Every politician will BS you. Okay. That's part of being a politician, right? So I just thought one of the best moments was his speech and just what he was saying. Did you get that same sense as well?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that, as you mentioned, this race is much more contested in Texas. It's something that we've seen trending closer and closer between Cruz and Allred, which I think some people were anticipating, and some others I've heard are a little bit surprised. But I think with Allred's messaging at the campaign rally, he continually has, this late in the race, impressed people, from what I'm hearing, impressed political experts, especially during the debate. We saw him really stand his ground against Cruz. And I think that same presence was on stage at the rally. He really appealed to this sense of, I'm going to be there for you, unlike Cruz, who has not been there for you. We've heard the Cancun jokes, but he took a more serious approach. And he said, we need a leader in Texas that is going to represent the people, going to look out for the people, and have the people's best interest in mind. And it really seemed like it was revving up those attendees.
Okay, I'm not sure if I'm just following the wrong people or if I'm just missing it because there's just so much information out there. I haven't seen Senator Ted Cruz at many rallies of late. Am I right in that? Like, hey, where has he been?
Yeah, so it's really interesting that you say that, because there was actually a Trump rally in Austin on the same day, on Friday, as Harris's rally. And Senator Ted Cruz was in attendance, but it really seemed as if he would be speaking on stage. He would be next to Trump. You would think, if they're having a joint rally, that would be the case. But he actually was not on stage with him. Alexis Nungaray, who's Jocelyn Nungaray's mother, was on stage with Trump, and she provided remarks because the event was centered around border control, which has been a huge issue for Republicans this election cycle.
Wait, he was there and didn't speak? So he was just sitting there watching all of the speeches awkwardly? Like that's I'm speechless. I didn't know that happened. I'm speechless just like Ted Cruz.
Yeah, it was a bit bizarre because at points Trump would even directly address him. He mentioned that he would continually have his endorsement, and he would include a statement and then address it to Ted. He called him by his first name, but he was not on stage and did not provide remarks.
Oh my gosh. Did you also see that rally on Friday with Mattress Mac? He held his own little Trump rally or Republican rally, like it was a mix of both. And this raised an important question for me because the Gallery Furniture in Richmond, which is located in Fort Bend County, it's a huge location. It's been used as a polling site for years, but with Mac hosting rallies, it seemed like a huge conflict of interest. So I actually emailed the Fort Bend County Elections Commission to clarify. And I asked them, like, hey, this seems like a huge conflict of interest as a resident of Fort Bend. This seems like this shouldn't be happening, right? And I don't care which side he's rallying for. If he was doing it for the Democrats, an independent, or even, of course, the Republicans like he did, it just seems like a huge conflict of interest. And they responded, so credit to them. And they said, quote, so long as he is not electioneering in or within 100 feet of the entrance, there is no violation of election law. Gallery furniture has served as a polling location for many years, end quote. So, that did clear things up for me as a resident, but still seems like it is, I don't know. It just seems like that shouldn't be happening. Like, just don't have it as a polling location. But look, it's legal.
Yeah, that I did not know that gallery furniture served as a polling location. Very interesting. And I did see that event, and I think it's good that you cleared up, what you were kind of thinking about. I mean, those laws are in place for a reason, and I know with the election code, it is so specific. So I'm glad that they were responsive and they walked you through what was going on. But that is a little odd, and maybe
It
it's
is, right?
something we'll see revisited in the legislature at some point. Who knows?
Who knows? Who knows? I'm definitely going to go stop by that polling location. I just want to see like what the vibe is there, for sure. Because I mean, he is just so pro-Republican now that I wonder, will there be this like atmosphere? And maybe it will just be like a lot of people who vote Republican are going to go support and go vote there. Like, who knows, right? But yeah, definitely caught my eye. Another thing that caught my eye, did you see that Judge Lina Hidalgo is now openly saying, yes, go vote for the $4.4 billion bond that HISD proposing, this historic bond, and really breaking away from local Dems and Republicans, let's be honest, because both parties do not like this bond because of state-appointed Superintendent Mike Miles and the TEA's takeover, the Texas Education Agency's takeover of HISD. What was your initial thought when you saw that story?
Yeah, so my editor, Allie, wrote that story for Cron.com, and I was fascinated as we were discussing during her reporting process on that story that Hidalgo would break and would come out in support of the bond. However, with that said, I have been seeing a lot of individuals in the political sphere in Houston who do support the bond but don't support the takeover, and it's because they recognize that these infrastructure repairs and these needs are so abundant in the district. So I see where Hidalgo's coming from. However, I also see where those who are questioning Hidalgo and not in support of the move are also coming from.
And by the way, Judge Hidalgo came out and supported the bond after touring Benavides Elementary School and just saw that how much work needs to be done. As you just mentioned, there are a lot of schools that would benefit from this $4.4 billion bond. And if you haven't voted yet on it and you live in Harris County and you want to learn more about the bond, the pros and cons, I've linked an episode that we did highlighting both the pros and the cons via a debate style show from community members and somebody who was actually on the advisory board for the bond. So you can listen to that to help you understand what's happening just a little bit more to help you get that research process started. The Museum of Fine Arts Houston presents Living with the Gods, Arts, Beliefs, and Peoples. To celebrate its centennial, the museum has organized a once-in-a-lifetime exhibition that features extraordinary objects made by artists to communicate with their gods. Living with the Gods represents a vast array of religions and beliefs, with art created across cultures and across thousands of years. The 200 objects demonstrate the astonishing quality that artists have achieved when driven by passion and faith. Living with the Gods is on view from October 27th through January 20th, 2025. Visit mfah.org/livingwiththegods to learn more. That's mfah.org/livingwiththegods. Hey Houston, looking for some design inspiration? Check out the 2024 AIA Houston Home Tour. On November 2nd and 3rd, you'll get a rare chance to step inside some of the city's most stunning custom homes, all crafted by some of Houston's top architects. Whether you're dreaming up your own perfect space or just love exploring amazing designs like I do, this tour is a must. Each home is a masterpiece showcasing the collaboration between homeowners, architects, and builders. And the best part? You can chat with the architects right there on site, so you can get tips, ask questions, and soak up all the creative vibes. Don't miss out on this unique experience. To learn more or grab your tickets, just head over to architecturehouston.org. Again, that's architecturehouston.org. So mark your calendars November 2nd and 3rd and come join us for the AIA Houston Home Tour. You won't want to miss it. Okay, Faith, it is time for a lightning round. I've got two stories for you here. We're going to break away from election stories and talk about how Houston was named a trending destination by Booking.com, making it amongst cities around the world and was the only U.S. city listed. Now, Faith, you know I love H-Town, but I was not expecting this at all, especially when the list features a bunch of cities that I can barely pronounce, like Trieste, Italy, Sanya, China, Tromsø, Norway. I didn't know that city existed, but hey, here we are. Houston came in at number 10. And yeah, that's right. We're a global destination now.
It is a little bit shocking. I won't lie. However, I'm also ride or die for Houston. So I love seeing it. And honestly, I just kind of want to take those results and rub it in people's faces because I've heard so frequently, like, what are you doing down in Houston? What's going on in Houston? And I'm like, y'all clearly have not been in Houston because there is so much to do. It's so amazing. The people are so friendly. So I'm shocked, but I'm pleasantly surprised, is what I will say.
Booking.com highlighted areas like Montrose and pointed out that there is a very thriving LGBTQ plus scene, as well as the beautiful East End area with all of the rich Latino culture. But they said for short on time people, you got to go to NASA. All right. At the end of the day, we're still known as the place for NASA or the city for NASA. And then they also pointed out scenic road trips through Texas's iconic landscapes. So yeah, like it's a good place to start. And then you can drive to the hill country, I guess is what they're saying.
Yeah, absolutely. Also, shout out to the Museum of Fine Arts. That's my
Yeah.
favorite destination in the city.
Yeah, that museum is always great to go check out. Just the whole area, the museum district is so much fun and just so calming. So definitely one of the highlights here in H-Town. Okay, second story here. Faith, have you heard fireworks in our city right now, whether it be over the weekend or even this week? Have you heard any?
I did hear a couple, and I was wondering what they were coming from.
Yeah, it is happening because our friends in the South Asian community are celebrating Diwali. And for the first time ever, they can buy fireworks legally to celebrate. And if you don't know what Diwali is, our friend Sharon Gahunia of Raja Sweets sent me this beautiful blurb about it. And she said, it's also known as the Festival of Lights. It's a major Indian holiday that celebrates the victory of light over darkness and good over evil. And people light oil lamps or candles, decorate their homes, set off fireworks, and enjoy festive meals and sweets with family and friends. And it's common to take sweets to friends and family because it's a time for new beginnings, celebrating prosperity, and sharing joy. So that is why we're hearing fireworks right now. And if you've never celebrated Diwali, it is so much fun. There's so many good eats. I follow Raja Sweets on Instagram, of course, and they are so busy. They're like, we can't even serve our lunch menu right now because so many people are coming in just to buy sweets and mithais, as they're called in our culture, that they're like, we can't make food right now because people are just buying so many sweets. And that is so incredible.
Yeah, that is incredible. And I love a good celebration, especially when it's cross cultures. It's always so interesting to see all of our community members represented. And parties are always fun, especially when it involves good food.
Absolutely. Good food, fireworks. You can't go wrong with that. And it's cool to see that it is legally allowed as well. We heard a bunch over the weekend. We were just watching a movie Saturday night, and all of a sudden we just heard fireworks in our neighborhood. And I'm like, I think that's fireworks. And we have a lot of Indian families that live in our neighborhood. And I immediately said, oh, yeah, it's Diwali celebrations. They're starting early. I love it. We went outside and watched it. I love watching a free fireworks show because I'm not burning my money. So, hey, kudos to me. I love that. And, it's free. So I don't mind it. But yeah, it's so cool to see that. One thing I love about Houston is that it's full of amazing stories. Here's one that I just learned about. In 1940, a girl named Ruth Steinfeld and her family were deported from Germany to one of the first Nazi concentration camps in France. She and her sister managed to escape with the help of a rescue group, and Ruth ended up making a life here in Houston. Now her portrait is part of a new exhibit called Facing Survival by David Casson. The exhibit memorializes over 24 survivors at Holocaust Museum Houston, and they really make you think about the resiliency of the human spirit. Facing Survival is on view now through January 5th at Holocaust Museum Houston, and the museum is free on Thursdays from 2 to 5 p.m., and kids 18 and under and college students are always free at Holocaust Museum Houston. Learn more at hmh.org/Facing Survival. This show is sponsored by BetterHelp. I want to say thank you to my wife and kids for being some amazing people, and I want to thank you, the listeners, for supporting us. This month is all about gratitude, and along with the people I just shouted out, there's another person we don't get to thank enough: ourselves. It's sometimes hard to remind ourselves that we are trying our best to make sense of everything, and in this crazy world, that isn't easy. Therapy empowered me to be the best version of myself. And if you're thinking of starting therapy, give BetterHelp a try. It's entirely online, designed to be convenient, flexible, and suited to your schedule. Just fill out a brief questionnaire to get matched with a licensed therapist, and you can switch therapists at any time for no additional charge. Let the gratitude flow with BetterHelp. Visit betterhelp.com/citycast today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/citycast. Okay, Faith, it's time for Only in H-Town, but because it is the spookiest week of the year, we're going to do things a little different if that's okay.
Yeah, that sounds awesome.
All right, so instead of Only in H-Town, I want to do my biggest fear of living in H-Town is, and give me something good here, Faith, because I want something spooky. I want something scary. I don't know what you got for me, but my biggest fear of living in H-Town is...
It's definitely driving on my way after a night out to Shipley's and then being out of kolaches. It is my worst fear, and unfortunately, it has happened multiple times, and it just literally sets my day up for failure. I'm not even going to lie. I get into such a bad mood, and it is just not something that I want to deal with, and that to me is spooky.
Okay, Faith, hold on. What time are you waking up where you're getting to Shipley's and they don't have kolaches left? Because usually like before 2 p.m. you're good.
Okay, so you would think that, but the Shipley's that is in the Heights is always out around like 10 or 11. And I'm sorry, I'm sleeping in on a weekend.
Okay,
I'm not going
fair.
to wake up at 9 a.m.
That is totally fair. A buddy I was playing pickleball with on Saturday, he is probably like 25, 26, and he went out the night before, and we played at 12:30 p.m., Faith. Get this. I'm like texting him like, hey, are you coming? We need you. Like, come on, you said you're coming. 2 o'clock hits, and he goes, oh, I just woke up. I just said, man, it's good to be young. It is good to be young because I was awake at 6 a.m.
Yeah, I'm not sleeping until 2 p.m. Kudos to him. That's not my lot in life, but I'm also not waking up before 9 a.m.
Man, make sure you get your kolaches, all right? You got to wake up a little bit earlier for that, or you're going to have to just drive a little bit further down and go to a different Shipley's.
Yeah.
Okay, my biggest fear of living in H-Town is driving on 59 North, all right, heading into the city, right, from the suburbs, and then getting stuck behind a car going 45 miles per hour. That is my biggest fear. I hate it. It is the worst because you cannot get out of that lane because cars are going 80, 85 miles per hour. And if you get stuck behind one of those cars, for whatever reason, they're just going 45 because they're probably on their phone or because they're scared to drive on 59 and you have to be a little bit more aggressive. but that is my biggest fear. I am always on the lookout, Faith. I cannot be stuck behind a slow car.
No, honestly, that is very relatable. I get a little bit frustrated and I have to remind myself, it is what it is, but definitely avoiding that is the best option possible because when you're stuck behind that, it's just over and over and over having to wait for them to pick it up.
And you can't honk. That's another big fear. Like, do not honk at drivers. I'm not trying to catch a road rage incident. I'm not trying to end up on the news. Right. So, yeah, you just go, please don't. Please not today. Not today, Houston Lords. Please.
Yeah.
Faith, thank you so much for joining us. I know it's an incredibly busy time of the year for you. And congratulations again on the new job at cron.com. And I've put information in our show notes where you can read all of the stories we talked about and follow Faith on X as well as her author page on cron.com. So Faith, keep up the great work and thanks again.
Yeah, thank you so much, Raheel. Thank you for having me.
That was Faith Bugenhagen of cron.com. Hey, share this episode with 3 friends who are looking to get better connected to H-Town. And you can also subscribe to our daily newsletter, Hey Houston, at houston.citycast.fm. Thanks. That will do it for today. I'm Raheel Ramzanali. Thank you for listening, and I hope you learned something new. So long. Sorry, my throat is killing me. Hold on.
No, you're okay.